Happy to be joined by Coach Jackson with Grambling State. Coach, if you would please start us out with an opening statement about the game.
Hey, man, hats off to Texas Southern. They came out and played extremely well today. We had several different battles with them throughout the year, and they were really close games. And today they came out and they shot the ball extremely well. And look, we didn't shoot the ball well, so that was the game.
Appreciate it. Welcome for questions, Tyler.
Coach, you seem to get off to a good start. McCray was able to establish kind of the tone in the paint, and you guys led for a little while. Where do you think the game started to get away from you guys?
I thought the game got away from us when McCray got his second foul, and maybe I shouldn't have set him with that second foul, but we was trying to get probably about that 6:52 mark. We for about 6:52, we only scored one basket in the second half, and he pretty much ran. That's when the run came, and we were kind of bad in transition defense, but you wanted to try to keep it close enough that McCray could come in the second half and keep trying to battle. But unfortunately, the game got away from us.
You seem to you guys had him ready to go. What was your conversations with him like, knowing how big and formidable that Texas Southern front line was going to be?
Well, we told him he had to be big, especially today because their front line was really good. Played extremely well. Nichols didn't score well. He was a presence out there, just making some easy passes and some easy drop-offs. I thought like us playing zone early with Amari and him being in the middle affecting them guys. But then, as he subbed out and we got smaller, they kind of.
What are the emotional challenges that you have to balance out? I mean, you guys beat your arch rival yesterday for the third time in a row. Everybody's super excited, but then you got to come right back and be ready for a new challenge the following day.
It's tough because you go play Southern, that's your rival, and you lose. I mean, you win that game, then you got to turn around and prepare in less than 24 hours for this game. And just that game, I felt like we extended a lot of energy to win that game. I think both teams is competing at a high level, and that's why it's extremely critical that you place it first or second. Because that extra day of rest looked like, it helped look like it helped them and not us today.
And could you tell me, Coach, about what you're going to have to kind of rebuild, replace what you're losing, and just your thoughts on what the guys you are losing into?
Well, I mean, guys like Prince Moss, I sat there and didn't have his best game, was sick this weekend, and, he still gutted it out, still tried to fight hard. And you talking about a guy who, since we got here, this is unfortunate we had a losing season this year, but it's our first losing season. And you talking about a guy since Grambling turned Division I, probably got the most wins in the history of the program. So you talking about losing a guy that's been a leader on the court, off the court, and a guy that's been committed to the program. He could have, what they say, tested the portal. But he decided to come back and stay loyal. And, unfortunately, we had injuries throughout the whole year. It's just, one of the years, Cam Christian had a concussion, missed 2-3 games. Terrion Randolph missed 6 games because of concussion. Amari McCray hurt his knee early. It's just one of them years you fight through some injuries. And, it's like that. If you're going to coach long enough, you're going to have some injury-riddled years. And, unfortunately, this was my first one with it. So, we fought through adversity. We learned a lot and got to keep figuring out. But then, we lose Terrion Randolph, and Randolph was, a big part of just being a guy who just was a leader. And, may not did all the scoring, but did all the other stuff that don't show up in the books, setting good screens, getting deflections, diving for loose balls and just being a great garbage guy, getting tip-ins. And, you lose a lot of character with those two guys, guys who just helped you build something special. And, we just got to keep building. We also talk about Amari McCray. Amari was just, a one-year guy, came back home. He's from the Grambling area. Family went to Grambling, and he wanted to spend his last year at Grambling. And that was big for us to have a post presence towards the end of the season. But, he was a good leader. And now you're losing some good gentlemen that you got to try to replace with.
Any of our media attending on Zoom, if you have any questions, if you could please unmute yourself and feel free to ask your question. Any final questions for Coach? so much, Coach.
Thank you. You guys have a blessed
Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right, no problem.
Next, we'll be joined by Texas Southern head coach Johnny Jones here momentarily. Patience is greatly appreciated. Have to be joined by Coach Jones with Texas Southern. Coach, if you would please start us out with an opening statement about the game.
So you guys did a tremendous job of getting off to a great start in the basketball game, knowing that there was going to be a high and an intense basketball game. I thought after playing last night, Grambling certainly came out with an intense level, actually getting up 18-10 there at one point. But I certainly have to credit our guys for continuing to battle throughout the basketball game and settling in there in the first half so we could go into the halftime with the lead. And I think the big thing is second half, we came back out, established ourselves early in the second half on both ends, offensively and defensively, and probably one of the better halves that we've played, probably the first 10, 15 minutes of the second half in a while.
Appreciate those comments, Coach. For our media on Zoom, if you do have a question for Coach, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue. We'll now open it up for questions. First question goes to Tyler.
Coach, talk about Henry. He was on fire, 18 points in the first half. Talk about his effort.
I thought he got off to a tremendous start, and he's been able to play that way. He's certainly a great quarterback for us and creating opportunities for other players. Tonight, they gave him opportunities, and I thought he did a fantastic job of taking advantage of the opportunities given him and complimenting him, especially in the second half, because after having an 18 at the half, I thought he came back out in the second half with the right mindset to be a distributor, to get his teammates involved because they would adjust a little bit defensively to try to get him stopped, and he didn't force anything. And I just think it's a sign of a good player. And so great to his credit. I thought he quarterbacked their team the right way today.
How happy are you with what you're able to provide off the bench? I mean, on the broadcast, we looked up and I said to myself, the five that came off the bench could be another starting five in the SWAC.
Well, the good thing about our team, all these guys have started several games throughout the season. And I think it really prepared them for the moment because the number of minutes that they've played, the different combinations that we've had out there on the floor. And so it was a good push, by our guys. And the thing is, I don't think there's ever any let up. When we do go to our reserves or bench guys come off, I think they come in and actually take it to another level at times on both offensively and defensively, which is tough for some teams to sustain that we're playing against.
You guys weren't able to get a number one seed in the regular season, but you're playing very well right now. Do you feel like your team is peaking right now at the right time?
Well, we still feel as though that we've got a lot of room to improve. I think that's a sign of a good team, and our guys understand that, and they continue to prepare each day, and they keep themselves locked in. I thought last night's meeting was probably one of our better meetings that we've had. We came over and watched games last night, and these guys were in tune. They were locked in the meetings. Actually, they were sharing information that they saw with us in reference to the scouting report that we had. And so I think that's growth in the team. And all of them were excited about coming over to watch the game last night. So these guys are really locked in, and I think they understand what's at stake. And as I told them in the locker room, I was glad to be standing in the position that I was in the middle of that locker room, surrounded by a great deal of experience who've been there before, because a lot of those guys cut down nets, hung banners in order to championship rings last year, and excited about the opportunity to be able to play for that again this year.
Last question for me. Nichols has played hard this week, but he hasn't seen the ball go through the bucket a lot. He's faced some pretty big guys in both of your games. He was pretty animated, and you had talked to him a lot. It appeared to me you might be trying to calm him down. What was your conversations like with Nichols today on the bench?
I was getting after him a little bit because I think he was upset. I think a ball gotten away from him. One of our players trying to make a play, and a little bit upset, and just trying to make sure that he understands how important it is to stay in the moment, continue to play hard, continue to battle and fight. We've got a long game in front of us. We're together, and we've got to have the mindset and mentality to get to the next play. And that's what I was getting on him about. He understands the importance of those things, but he plays on the edge. The good thing about it, I don't mind, if he missed shots, they don't go down because he's a guy that's almost a 60% shooter. But your effort, you have to be sustained, and the energy have to be there in playing, because those shots are going to eventually go down for you, especially where he plays from. Unfortunately, last 2 nights, it just hadn't dropped for him.
Next question goes to Mark Berman.
John, how are you?
Great, Mark, and yourself?
So your son hits a bucket and you get the lead for good at 22-21. Then you blow them out in the second half. What exactly happened that y'all were to get? You went from a 1-point lead in the middle of the first half to a 33-point lead in the second half.
Well, I thought in the first half, when we had a deficit of 18-10, and we called a timeout, we certainly had to change our energy level and our mindset and some of the coverage that we were doing defensively. We wanted to make sure that we got back to our scout report. So defensively, we became better. I thought our defense engineered a little bit of our offense because it was easier scoring opportunities. We were able to get out and run, made some easy scoring opportunities. Therefore, those guys were able to see it. Then we got into rotation and to our bench. We got good looks, guys knocked shots down, and we didn't look back after that once we got the lead. But again, those guys played last night. They expended a lot of energy into a game, a very emotional game with Southern last night. And I thought our guys did a great job of playing at a certain level for the 40 minutes that was needed against a team that we had 2 close games with earlier this season.
What does it mean to the program to be in the championship game now again?
I think it's great. I think when you talk about tradition of programs and you can continue to win and play at a certain level, it's always a positive. I'm just excited about this group that have an opportunity to be back there, because these guys had a chance to leave last year at the end of the season. They decided to return, and obviously when they went hashtag on sports media and used hashtag run it back, it was important. And so we're hopeful that that's something that obviously that they think back on, and the reason that they're here. And I think that's one of the big reasons they're so locked in.
Thanks, Johnny.
Thank you.
Any final questions for Coach?
Yeah, I have a question for Coach Jones. Coach, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Coach, you guys fairly, how important is, because you guys have played 2 relatively early games, Wednesday and Friday. You didn't get in that bracket where you're playing at 8 o'clock. You're going to have a little bit more extra rest. I mean, how important is that going to be? And then you're playing a team that's playing, later tonight.
I think it's great for us. I thought it was important for us to get to bye and plan on Wednesday, off on Thursday. I thought that was huge for us, and I thought it was a great advantage. And then playing the early game, 2 o'clock, and having a chance to watch the late game where we can possibly get a little scouting in, and then on the turnaround. And so we're hopeful that it's to our benefit and that we can play to that. But I'm sure whoever wind up winning that game tonight understand its stake, and they will come in with a certain mindset of importance, and we're going to have to be at a certain level tomorrow when that game starts, regardless of who that opponent is.
Okay, Coach, I got a final question for me. Just talk about, the impact that John Jones had today. I mean, coming off, you kind of mentioned earlier, but coming off, and he gave you that spark, and that, you had 2 separate 10-0 runs, and he sparked that first one.
Yeah, I thought he did a great job knocking down shots. He's done that for us and throughout his career in his latter part of this year. It's been huge for us. He gets good looks. His teammates look for him. They share the basketball and get it to him, and he make big plays. So we're very confident when he's out there on the floor, and excited about when he get an opportunity to get good looks, because he don't get many, because the opposing teams know where he likes to play from, or the strength in terms of where we get his shots, and they generally lock down on him. He was able to get some open looks today, and certainly made good on him.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Any final questions for Coach? Thank you so much,
Cheers,
Coach.
bye.
Appreciate you.
I know.
We're going to conclude our press conference. Thank you so much for attending.